everyone, welcome to Trash Talk Tuesday. I'm sitting here with my sister, Brianna Blackledge, and this loser, Dr. Murphy.
Let's talk all trash about him.
Oh,
I'm good with
Trash Talk Tuesday.
Bring it.
All right, you ready for this? Okay, so today's topic for Trash Talk Tuesday. This is how it works. We pick a topic, I pick a topic, we trash it. And we're having Bree join us because why not, you know?
I'm here.
So here's the topic. It says, when doctors and nurses can disclose and discuss errors, hospital mortality rates decline. Feels real obvious, but why doesn't this happen more? So basically, I'll give you a little quick definition, then we can just kind of kick some things around. It basically just talked about how openness and mortality rates have been demonstrated for the first time in a study among 137 acute trusts in England, of course. This was in England. And that it was published just this May. And kind of just the talk and efforts to create an environment where people feel free to speak up, share information. If there's something that negatively impacted a patient, they can share that information in order to improve not only just patient care, but then lower mortality rates in hospitals. What are your thoughts?
Well, first off, aren't there hospitals that do this? Aren't there more? Is this just on Grey's Anatomy, where they do morbidity and mortality conferences amongst doctors?
Do you want me to tell you what they talked about?
Real?
So they said hospital openness defined as an environment which staff freely speak up if they see something that negatively affects a patient and feel free to question those with more authority. Basically, the whole idea is to create a better patient environment, safety of the patients, understanding of the patient's care goals. And apparently this isn't a thing that they do a lot. Apparently, especially questioning authority is not exactly something that I guess happens a lot. Or people don't feel empowered or compelled to question a patient care goals. I mean, you were in a hospital. What are your thoughts? Do you feel like hospitals create an open environment? Do you feel like efforts are being made to create an open environment?
I don't think the environment is all that open at hospitals, but I will tell you from my experience at a hospital and nitpick every little thing a doctor does and say, there goes the bad guy. And a lot of them do that. So I think a lot of doctors, for the most part, probably 80% of them have a good relationship with nurses. We don't have a problem with nurses and the openness and communication. And we try to work together and alleviate problems and medication errors and stuff like that, as a whole. But yeah, probably 20% of the physicians out there are a little bit on the arrogant, egotistical side. But it doesn't bother me.
So you feel like most of the time people are probably...
I don't think we have a problem with that in the United States. I think maybe in England they do, because they're still, I think, behind the times.
Well, and hopefully then if there is a culture in which people are given an opportunity to share information specifically about patient care, and if that person wasn't necessarily wrong in what they did, unless you trip up and make it a huge mistake, even if people are coming after you for,
Don't get confused, Michelle, between what is a mistake and what's not. I'll give you an example. I mean, one of the things that I did one time is I left a piece of wood in some guy's leg. This guy came into the emergency room. He fell on a piece of wood, and it was a hole that was completely closed up. But he says, yeah, I fell on a piece of wood, and it kind of disappeared. And I went in there, and I explored the wound. I took an x-ray. The x-ray was negative. It was red as negative. There was no foreign body in his leg or anything, and I thought I did the right thing. Well, a couple days later, he comes back to the emergency room. Guess what? He's got a hell of an infection because he's got a piece of rotten wood in his leg.
Oh my gosh.
Well, yeah. Then I went to quality, and the doctors in there that knew what I did was correct. I followed every correct procedure, and they were going to give me a critical level to where I need improvement. Improvement for what? If the same circumstances happened again, I would do the same exact thing. There's no improvement. I mean, it was a less than desirable outcome. It was a sentinel event, something that you just don't ever see, but it did occur. And not a single physician would speak up because, they just didn't care.
Jeez.
Yeah. And your mom was the only one that spoke up, and she's like, this is way wrong.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny because she said something like, well, I'm going to go down and say something. I'm like, you know what? I really don't care if you do or not.
Yeah.
Because these doctors, they're not my peers.
Yeah.
I don't have any peers.
So it's really kind of cutthroat at times.
It can be. It can be.
Overall, okay.
And, the thing of it is, the doctors that were there knew I did everything right.
Yeah.
And if any of them were in my shoes, that same thing, that same outcome would have happened exactly the same way.
Yeah.
They all would have made the same judgment that I did. I explored the wound. I irrigated the wound. I x-rayed, the wound. Everything I possibly could. And I saw nothing. What else can I do?
What else can you do?
The guy walked into the emergency room. The guy walked out of the emergency room. And he had a little twig in his leg. Don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
It's a freak
So sometimes
thing.
that's just kind of a weird deal.
It is. It is a weird deal. And so, even in those situations, it's not even very educational. It's not very much training, but they, I don't know. They were trying to, I guess,
cross their T's and dot their I's.
Yeah, they're just trying to point their fingers at me because none of them really cared for me very much, which is fine because I didn't like them very much either.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't have anything to do with them anymore.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of interesting. So it sounds like really what you have is a culture that gives the appearance of openness, but actually is not.
No, it's not. And honestly, we should probably have a psychologist there, that deals with, super ego personalities in a meeting like that can get level it
Well,
out.
and especially a doctor, I think sometimes when you talk to someone who has an education just so far beyond anything I've ever even considered, it's hard to question certain things.
It is. It is. I mean, it's like, if this meeting was made up of OBGYN docs, how the hell would they know what a piece of wood in a leg feels like? And that would be the same thing, me critiquing a C-section that didn't go very well.
Yeah.
Well, I've never done a C-section. How can I critique that?
Yeah.
How can I weigh in on that?
Yeah.
I don't know. So you have to have a jury of your peers, and that wasn't the case here.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like you probably also need to have more individuals involved who can remain relatively unbiased and deliver.
There's nobody that can remain unbiased.
Well, relatively. I mean, you're never going to be free of bias no matter what you do. But if you could find some individual who could help mediate a situation and figure out whatever it is that they need to do to actually implement an environment that is open enough to share. It'd be interesting to see because this article that I read, it almost feels like I need to dig in because it kind of just gives you, hey, we found that more openness turns out it's better. But now it would be interesting to say, okay, so what exactly did you do?
I don't think I don't think it has a whole lot to do with it.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is the guy with the piece of wood in his leg, he actually went to surgery. They removed it, and he did fine. And last I heard, of course, I didn't get sued for it because I did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
I did everything correctly. But he said he put it in a glass jar, put it on the mantle in his fireplace.
Ew.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. He's a good guy, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
Just no farm boy.
Do you have any final thoughts?
No, I mean, it would be interesting to hear
what it is
more about the study because to me it just sounds like, okay, everybody can say what you want to say.
Yeah.
Without a whole lot of, I'm sure there was follow-up. Obviously, they found rates declining, but what really went on,
Yeah, what did they do?
Yeah.
Was this just a meeting were they just meetings where once a week they'd come together and say, okay, everybody vent? Or was it case by case? It would be interesting. And what's holding people accountable to being truthful and not just wanting to be vengeful and take out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it says they use summary hospital level mortality indicator, SHMI, as a measure of mortality and designed a standardized openness indicator that draws staff surveys from the Picker Institute.
Okay, well, staff surveys too.
Yeah, I could pick apart that study.
Right, I agree.
So I don't know. It sounds like, I don't know, all that sounds real good when you find a way to compile data.
Yeah. Great study.
Who knows though? I mean, but honestly, the idea of it sounds really great. But it's always to me the implementation of a thing that sounds like it could be really good. That's always very tricky. And can you continue to maintain a level of?
Michelle, in this day and age, it'd be nice if I could pick up the phone and call a doctor and say, "Hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Can you help me out here? Can you see the patient?" But none of that exists
No, that's
anymore.
not even.
It is
possible.
all gone. This does not exist. Healthcare is going down the tubes. Today's the best day of healthcare. Tomorrow will be a little worse. Next day a little worse. Next day a little worse. And by the time, if and when I ever retire, it's over.
Yeah. There's nothing personal about any of it anymore, for
No,
sure.
no.
It's
Well,
red tape and getting paid,
I mean, honestly, I think we're the most personal clinic out there.
for sure. It shocks me. I mean, I obviously have now become spoiled, but dealing with real life situations that don't involve you, don't involve mom, in the healthcare field is shocking.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Shocking at how you're not taken care of.
No.
You have to prove you can pay before you're even
Yeah.
seen.
Yeah.
You can't even make an appointment without proving you can pay for your service.
You two have been with me a long time. That getting paid, seeing somebody in my clinic, is the last question I ever ask because I just don't care.
We even ask people if they do plan to file insurance or whatever. We even direct them to where they can use that
Yeah.
so that they're.
I mean, how many times have
so
you
that
heard me,
they're
well,
not-
these people don't have any money. Bring it back. I'll see them
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah,
I don't care.
it's very. I definitely feel like we definitely provide more of a personal
I totally do. It's the way medicine should be
and
practiced.
take care of people as people
Absolutely.
and not as a diagnosis. How they're going to pay for it.
I always thought if I take care of his family, not these two, but some other family members, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
So, and I wish more doctors would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, next time on Trash Talk Tuesday, we'll talk about how to provide the
We should.
right type of care.
I think that absolutely should be a trash.
Yeah.
That would be a good one.
Yeah.
Oh man, we could go on for hours.
We could. And we almost have. Well, I bet we're pretty far.
probably
into this.
pretty far. Into it.
Well, I think that was an interesting openness in hospitals. I'll look into that and see what it was they did if I can. I might forget, so don't hold your breath.
I won't.
All right, everybody. Well, there was Trash Talk Tuesday. Thanks for joining us, Brianna Black Lodge.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you for Free Advice Friday.
See ya.
Bye.